Just one day after he was named an ECHL All-Star, Walleye forward Josh Kestner earned League Player of the Week honors. The Huntsville, Alabama native tallied 7 points for the Fish last week and currently leads the Walleye with 38 points. Just last week, Shane Burschbach was named Player of the Week. This marks the first time in Toledo's ECHL history a member of the squad earned the award in back-to-back weeks. Now, the Huntington Center will be hopping this weekend. Here's more of my conversation with Matt Melzak on what's to come for the Toledo Walleye. This weekend will look a little bit like last weekend, seeing a couple of the same faces. We've got Indy 2 nights in a row and then Wheeling all at home. How important is a fast start on Friday against Indy, especially after Saturday?
I think it's huge, Claire, when you're going against a team that's kind of had your number. You're 1-2-2 against Indy. It's so weird, the fact that you look at those numbers in the Central Division. Toledo 2-1 against Cincinnati, best team in the division right now. They're a perfect, 4-0 against Fort Wayne so far this year. 3-0 against Kalamazoo so far this year. They've only lost one time to Wheeling. They're 5-1 against the Wheeling Nailers. And then there's Indy. And for some reason, Indy has been that a little bit of an enigma. Toledo bested them the one game, the first game that was played in Toledo, 6-2 final, but they had 4 goals in the third period. So it was a game all the way throughout. So yes, I think that first period Friday night is going to be very key. Set the tone. We'll see if that physical contest that we saw on Saturday, if that carries over to this weekend. Be very interesting on that end, just to see how it plays out, especially with the back-to-back games. Those can be very intriguing, especially when you get to the second night. And you're right, Claire, we're in a stretch, 5 straight games against 2 opponents, 3 against Indy, 2 against Fort Wayne.
Now, the goaltending situation with Toledo is kind of a good problem to have a little bit. You've got a few great guys stepping in there. You have Billy Christopoulos, who has filled in while Nagel has been up, and Caden Fulcher is just getting back healthy. Pat Nagel will be back with the Walleye at some point, but on paternity leave, as I understand it. What does it look like this weekend? Do you see the same guy all 3 nights, or are you going to switch it up?
I think it'll just depend on what we end up seeing with Pat Nagel. If that ends up staying and he is going to be back and playing this weekend, which is the plan as of right now, that could obviously change. Anything. Detroit could have an injury and then he's gone before we even actually see him. So, but for Pat, he probably wants the itching to get back in. If he's here, he's going to go, you would imagine, Friday, maybe even Saturday as well, just to kind of see. And then it'll just depend on where Dan Watson's thought process is. What can he do? Does he keep Billy Christopoulos if he looks long-term that it's going to be Nagel and Fulcher again like we had assumed at the beginning of the year? Or does it change even more with Detroit? That's where that lies. With the fact that Detroit has so many goaltenders signed, they have enough to fill all of their affiliates, both of them. So it's one of those where, how do you maneuver that? There are some teams in the league right now. So, if Toledo keeps 3 and Billy Christopoulos ends up staying and, however they end up working that out, that's for smarter people than you and I, Claire, okay? Well, salary caps and numbers and all that. Forget that. I just know what the roster looks like. And I know that there's a lot of teams right now that have been keeping a third goaltender. And especially if they're a team, I know Fort Wayne's done it this year. South Carolina does it currently because of the fact that you're the bottom team, right, in the ECHL. So if there's an injury at any of the other 2 levels, now you're down to 1 goalie. Now you have to scramble to find another goalie. So I think that's where some of these teams that are getting multiple goaltenders from affiliates, or they have dual affiliates like Fort Wayne does, where they're each getting sending a goaltender, it's almost smart to keep that extra guy just to make sure, and especially when you have injuries and you got a lot of things that could change with Detroit. Jimmy Howard could be traded, and who knows? I mean, there's a lot of things that could change in the next month or so to where you could end up needing a third goalie.